The Young Southeast Asian Leaders Initiative, or YSEALI, is a program dedicated to people in the age of between 18 and 35 in Brunei, Cambodia, Indonesia, Malaysia, Myanmar, the Philippines, Laos, Singapore, Thailand, and Vietnam. Early this month, YSEALI members held the workshop Little Things Matter in Hanoi to celebrate the third anniversary of the program. U.S. Ambassador to Vietnam Ted Osius attended the meeting and discussed with YSEALI members about volunteerism and the power of youth in bringing positive changes to society. The workshop was one of a series of community service activities conducted by 16 YSEALI teams in 9 cities and provinces across Vietnam early this month under the motto, "Never Too Young to Lead." This is the most far-reaching YSEALI event in Vietnam, attracting 1,000 participants. Launched in 2013, the Young Southeast Asian Leaders Initiative is the U.S. government's signature program to strengthen leadership and connection in ASEAN, helping local young people become more connected and capable of dealing with regional and international issues. Responding to priorities from youth in the ASEAN region, YSEALI projects focus on 4 themes, including economic development and entrepreneurship, environmental protection, education, and civic engagement. Hello and welcome to Sharing Vietnam. Youth-oriented cooperation activities are an important part of the growing ties between the United States and Southeast Asian countries, including Vietnam. In our program today, we'll get to know about the participation of Vietnam in the Young Southeast Asian Leaders Initiative, or YSEALI program, supported by the U.S. Our guest today is Ms. Marsha Anglo-Real, Cultural Affairs Official of the U.S. Embassy in Hanoi. So hello, Marsha. Thank you very much for joining us today. First of all, what are the reasons for the United States to support young leaders of Southeast Asia with the YSEALI program?
Well, there are a lot of reasons, but I would say one of the main reasons is that, the importance of ASEAN, in the country into the United States. I mean, these are 10 countries, that make up, a lot of, the economic power of the region, and is of importance obviously to the United States with the amount of trading and relationships that the United States has with Southeast Asia. But I think also mostly an acknowledgement of the dynamism of the youth in Southeast Asia, because 65% of the population in the 10 countries is under the age of 35. And so they're at the prime age, of graduating college, of starting their careers, and are the ones that are going to be facing the issues that are of most importance, not only in their countries, but in the region. And it's important for them to be connected, to be able to be working on, some of these regional issues together, things having to do with the environment, with civil society, obviously business, entrepreneurship. All of these things are things that youth can best tackle and find the solutions to for the future.
Could you give us some specific information on the U.S. support for YSEALI program so far?
Well, there's a lot of components to the program. One of them has to do with funding project ideas, community service projects. So there's a grants competition called Seeds for the Future, and that's where the U.S. Government provides, funding for projects that usually involve more than one country, and that can be anywhere between $10,000 and $20,000 per project. But it's a competition that happens once or twice a year. In fact, it just took place, one of the competitions just took place, and the winners will be announced in January. And also for this coming year, the program will be doing something a little bit different, where they will bring the winners together for a workshop, an implementation workshop. So in order to help the winners best implement the programs to ensure that they're as successful as they can possibly be. So that's one of the things that the program is doing. The other one is putting together regional summits. So these are what are called by YSEALI Generation, and each summit focuses on a different theme. So for example, in the Philippines recently there was one called Go NGO, and that brought together NGO representatives from all over the Southeast Asian countries to come and get more skills on how to manage their NGOs, how to do fundraising, how to get their message out, and all of the things that are important for an NGO to be successful. There are others that focus on entrepreneurship. One coming up in Brunei in February will focus on eco-entrepreneurship. That one will be called Green. And so bringing people together to work on specific themes and in a way that provides more practical skills is one of the, I think, most successful things about YSEALI is providing young people with actual skills and that networking that is needed for them to carry out their work.
What is your evaluation of the development of the YSEALI network and activities in Vietnam so far?
YSEALI has been, I think, particularly successful in Vietnam and says a lot about the activism and the commitment of young people in this country because YSEALI across the 10 countries now has close to 100,000 members. And in Vietnam, it's over or close to 21,000. That's more than any of the other Southeast Asian countries, even Indonesia, which has almost 3 times the population of Vietnam. So it's been very, very popular here. In addition, in fact, even on social media, Vietnam, the YSEALI members have been very active because I believe they make up over 20% of the followers of YSEALI Facebook. So, that just goes to show there's a lot of interest here, a lot of, dedication of the young people to get involved, to do things not only in their communities, but to be connected with other countries in Southeast Asia.
Make Science Make Sense is a non-profit educational project under the Young Southeast Asian Leaders Initiative, or YSEALI, supported by the United States government. The project is aimed to boost the public passion for science, especially among secondary school and undergraduate students in several fields, including science, technology, engineering, mathematics, and medicine. Under the project, the 2016 Science Fair took place on December the 3rd in Ho Chi Minh City. The event was meant to provide fundamental information on different scientific fields and to inspire visitors with various activities such as booth tour, science talk, and science quiz.
Ở đây có nhiều đối tượng, có thể là sinh viên, có thể là học sinh, thì một phần của tụi mình cũng hướng tới các bạn học sinh, những người mà còn đang định hướng nghề nghiệp của mình, để phần nào đó truyền được cái cảm hứng về ngành y cho các bạn.
Bạn ở cấp độ tiểu học hay là học sinh cấp 2 thì các bạn ấy đã được tiếp xúc với khoa học cũng từ rất sớm, nhưng mà mình thấy rằng các bạn ấy đang có một nhu cầu bức thiết vì các bạn ấy đang học hoặc là đang chuẩn bị học khoa học. Vì thế nên tụi mình mong muốn đây là một cái kênh để cung cấp kịp thời những thông tin khoa học đến cho các bạn.
The YSEALI activities held in Vietnam early this month were part of the bigger YSEALI Unified campaign in 10 ASEAN countries. 103 teams of ASEAN members will hold youth-led community projects across Southeast Asia. The campaign is aimed to encourage young people to be civically engaged and to demonstrate the power of youth to develop solutions to important local, national, and regional issues. In your opinion, what are the major benefits of YSEALI for a country like Vietnam?
Over 40% of the people in Vietnam are under the age of 25. So I think the kind of skills that they're gaining from the YSEALI programs, and one of the things I didn't mention earlier was also the exchange programs, obviously, because there are YSEALI members that are being sent to the United States to do both academic and professional exchanges. So I think the kind of knowledge and the skills that they are gaining from these programs are things that, because they're so young, are going to really benefit Vietnam for a long time coming. Because again, as mentioned earlier, these are people that are early in their careers or just out of college, and they have their whole life ahead of them. And judging by the things that they're already doing, as young as they are, I think really says a lot for what more that they'll be able to do in the future. But not only the things that they're doing themselves, but the way that they are inspiring others as also, because they are helping to mentor other Vietnamese. They're helping, to share the experiences that they have, and it really has a multiplier effect, I think, for Vietnam.
Marsha, could you tell us about some major YSEALI projects in Vietnam?
Nguyen Van Thai from Save Vietnam's Wildlife, he runs a center in Thanh Nguyen, and he has done some great work, particularly in terms of saving pangolins, which are endangered species. He, in fact, even won an award that Netherlands has an environmental award last year. But he was also one of YSEALI members that was selected to participate in our YSEALI Professional Fellows program focusing on environment. And so the kind of work that he's doing at that center, wildlife conservation, is very important, obviously, for Vietnam. And one of the things that the U.S. mission in Vietnam considers to be a priority in assisting, the government to protect its wildlife, and particularly in terms of reducing the consumption of wildlife products. Another one is called Float and Flood, which was started by a YSEALI member in the Mekong Delta to assist people to better withstand the dangers of flooding. So they provide backpacks that have essential equipment that would be necessary in a flood, or to help people from even drowning. And this is a project that has had success, so much so that we have funded it to be expanded to other areas.
And finally, what is your message for young Vietnamese people to fully take advantage of the opportunities offered by YSEALI?
My message to them would be to stay engaged, to stay passionate, because that's one of the things that I admire the most about young people in Vietnam. And not only are they smart, clearly they show that again and again, but they really do have this dedication and motivation and optimism about the future. And I would urge them to keep that optimism, even when things are hard, because, getting a grant to do a project is probably the easy part, but actually implementing it, when you start to run into the obstacles and getting permissions for things that you need in order to make it happen, and finding the people that are going to help you with it, and motivating them to see it through, those things are hard. But from what I've seen the young people here is that they're willing to do the work, and so long as they're willing to do that, they will continue to be successful.
Marsha, thank you very much for spending your time with us today and sharing some very interesting stories.
Likewise, and thank you.
Well, that's all for our Sharing Vietnam today. Hopefully, more and more young Vietnamese people will join YSEALI projects to become active leaders, not only of Vietnam, but also of Southeast Asia. Thank you so much for watching, and see you again next time.